Okay, so you ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, awesome. So today, we're tackling a topic you clearly care a lot about, education.
Hmm.
You sent over a ton of stuff, articles, research, even some personal notes, and it seems like you're really grappling with this big question, is education stuck in the past? Or is it actually evolving? Like, is it keeping up with today's world?
Right.
That's a pretty huge question. We've got a lot to cover, so
Huh.
should we get started?
Go.
Perfect. So one thing that really popped out from all the stuff you sent was this whole idea that the traditional education model, like rows of desks and memorizing facts and standardized tests, some people were saying that's just totally outdated. In
Yeah.
fact, there was that one article you flagged that actually called it like the factory model of education.
Ah, yes.
For people who haven't heard that term, it's this idea that schools were originally designed to kind of churn out workers, almost like factories, pumping out identical products.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's really interesting to consider that historical context because it does help us understand things better. I mean, this whole factory model really came about during the Industrial Revolution. And back then, industries needed a workforce that was disciplined,
Right.
people who would follow instructions and just slot into very specific roles. And actually, one of the sources you sent argued that this model, this factory model, wasn't all bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it actually helped spread literacy and even critical thinking skills, which at the time was a big deal.
Huh. That's a good point.
It kind of made me rethink some of my assumptions about the history of education, to be honest.
Yeah, it's easy to just dismiss the past.
Totally.
But when you understand the whole picture, you can see both the limitations and the surprising upsides of older systems. But of course, the world has changed a lot since then.
Absolutely.
It's not all about factory jobs anymore. And the skills you need to succeed are way different now, too.
Right. It's much more complex.
And that's where the whole argument for evolving education comes in.
Exactly. A lot of your sources, especially that report from the World Economic Forum, they really emphasize the shift. Like nowadays, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, collaboration. Those are the skills everyone's looking for. It's not just about what you know anymore. It's what you can actually do with it.
Right. I mean, I was fascinated by your notes about the Finnish school system. They're trying some pretty amazing stuff with project-based learning over there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You even highlighted this one article about a school in Finland where students are designing sustainable energy solutions for their whole community.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they're learning about science, engineering, teamwork, and, making a real difference in their world. It's a perfect example of project-based learning.
It's way more engaging than just memorizing facts from a textbook. Sounds like there's a lot of experimentation going on right now. And it's not just projects either, right?
Yeah.
You also sent me some research on personalized learning.
Right, that's where technology is starting to play a bigger role. Personalized learning uses tech to kind of tailor education to each student's needs and interests.
Oh, wow.
Some of your sources talked about platforms like Khan Academy, where students can learn at their own pace. And there's even AI-powered tutoring systems now that adapt to how each student learns best.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. But what about the concerns that technology might end up replacing teachers altogether? I mean, there were definitely some different opinions on that in the stuff you shared.
Oh, for sure. That's a super important point. I mean, tech should be a tool, not a substitute for good teachers. Like you highlighted that article from the New York Times about a school using virtual reality to bring history lessons to life.
Right.
And, the teacher's still guiding the whole experience, but VR just adds this amazing new level of engagement. It's all about finding the right balance.
That seems to be a recurring theme here. Respecting the best parts of the traditional approach while being open to trying new things. But with all this innovation, it makes you wonder, what's the end goal here? What's the point of education in today's world? I mean, it's a big question.
It is, and thankfully your research gave us some really interesting answers. Some people argue that it's all about preparing students for specific jobs, especially with the job market changing so fast. But others say, it's more about creating well-rounded people, individuals who can think for themselves, solve problems, and be active members of society.
It's not just about producing workers anymore.
Not at all. One of your sources, a TED Talk by Sir Ken Robinson, he made this powerful statement. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, education should be about sparking a love of learning,
Yeah.
about encouraging curiosity and giving students the tools they need to thrive in a world that's always changing.
Yeah, it's like empowering them to become lifelong learners.
Mm.
That's a great way to put it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, is there one thing, one big takeaway you'd like to leave with our listener? Something that really resonated with you from all this material?
I think it's this. Education is at a crossroads. We can either stick with models that are no longer working, or we can grab this chance to rethink what learning can be, to build systems that encourage creativity, critical thinking, and a passion for learning.
Yeah,
It's both a huge challenge and an incredible opportunity for education today.
that's really inspiring. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. I hope you found this exploration insightful and maybe even thought-provoking. Just remember, keep asking those tough questions, keep learning, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to revolutionize education for the next generation.
It could happen.
Until next time.